in here, gonna so that I don't have to go back and edit everything, have a couple disclosures here. So, welcome if you're watching live or if you're watching the recording. My name is Colin, and I'm one of the community leaders here, along with Anna Maria, for the FPA Next Gen community. We're the Michigan chapter, but our reach is all over the country. So if you want to hang out with advisors trying to make friends and become a better advisor, this is the place for you. And today we have an extra special guest joining us, Caleb Silver. And just another disclosure, anything that we say is not financial advice. Of course, we don't know you. We're not your advisor. And nothing that Caleb says is on behalf of Investopedia or of the FPA. We're just having fun conversations here. So quick introduction for Caleb. Caleb is the editor-in-chief of Investopedia. We've all heard of Investopedia and been using those products. It's an award-winning business journalist he is, who has previously worked as the director of business news at CNN, the executive producer of CNN Money, another product and website we all have seen many times, is a senior producer at the Bloomberg Television, and is the host of the Investopedia Express podcast. Love the podcast, by the way, Caleb, and a frequent contributor to CNBC, MSNBC, NBC News, ABC Radio, and Yahoo Finance. Caleb, thank you so much for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me. Apologize for the noise. I'm in an atrium of a building. I have a party I have to be with you. Fan of yours, and this is an honor for me. So thanks for including me.
Absolutely, Caleb. Anytime I get an opportunity to stick a microphone in your face, you know that I do my best. Oh, are we glitching a little bit? Do we need to pause?
I was a little, but I think I'm okay now. Am I
Okay.
okay?
And your cut out, your sound cut out just temporarily for me
Okay.
too.
I
So
think we're okay.
hopefully we'll stabilize here. Um, so hey, thanks again for joining us. Where I wanted to get kind of diving into, I know you got to get running here toward the top of the hour. When you reached out to me not too long ago, actually asking, hey, how do you find information about products, resources for your clients? And we had a kind of a brief interaction. I was just sharing with you where I go. Really curious to hear what your findings, because we're a group of advisors. We're all trying to learn as much as we can, and especially as next gen advisors newer to the industry. What were some of the findings that you had there of Investopedia, of course, being a great resource? Where do you find advisors getting their information?
Yeah, and I'm glad we actually had that conversation. I asked several advisors that question because we know that we are often the bridge between you and your clients in terms of education. What does this mean? Hey, we've been talking about these products. Here's a good explanation of it. And we love that. We appreciate that. But we also know that the way people get information has evolved, and we have to evolve the way we deliver information. Can't just be Web 1.0 or 2.0 anymore. But from you to advisors and friends that we know, like Dr. Preston Cherry and Doug Bonaparte and Rita Chang and others. It was very different, but I think the one common denominator is you learn from each other, right? And that's kind of the spirit of the FPA. That's the spirit of this community of advisors. That's so wonderful, really. I mean, that's the best part about it, is that you guys are so generous with the sharing of information. So you learn from each other, and that could be from each other's podcasts, that could be from each other's social media posts, from each other's newsletters or Substacks, or hearing each other speak at conferences like Future Proof or any of the ETF conferences or industry conferences. So that was a big way. Some advisors, especially on the younger side, are definitely heavily leaning into social media. No surprise there, but they're very picky, as they should be, about who they're following and who they're listening to. And a lot of you are actually reading the white papers, doing the hard research work, and reading the work that they're putting out all over Wall Street and all over the financial services industry across the world, really. So it's a mix, but you can imagine it's a range. When the younger advisors are where you might expect them to be on the more social platforms, but everybody is learning from each other across this industry, across age groups.
Love that. And that's what we're trying to foster here in this community. And especially appreciate you helping us do that. Um, Next question here. We're, as I mentioned, a group of new advisors, and I know that you're not necessarily an advisor yourself managing clients, but you definitely know enough to be dangerous as you write the papers that we are using for education. Have you found there to be maybe a different skill set in this new generation of kind of advice over products? What are maybe you telling younger advisors, or if a younger advisor were to ask you, how should I be learning? What skills should I acquire to, kick butt in this industry?
I think show is as important, if not more important than tell, right? It's one thing to sit across from your clients and have a conversation, maybe send
Yeah.
them some emails with some links. That's one thing. It's super effective. But showing is also extremely effective if you do it right and you do it across the right mediums. And I don't mean silly TikTok videos where, what if you bought Apple at this, and in 1999, what if you bought it over here? Look, I'm wearing a silly hat. No, I'm talking about demonstrating real knowledge and information, maybe with a couple of charts, a couple of on-screen captions or something like that, that tells it in a crisp, concise way. Now that's obvious, and that's the way we communicate across social media. But the advisors that show better than tell, I think, are having a much more deeper impact. I also know that just like our readers and just like all of you, the way we consume information is very different than the way we used to. And the way we like it delivered is very different as well. But what's not different is the fact that people want to know, wait, what's going on? And then what should I do about it? And we don't give people recommendations on what to buy, sell, or hold necessarily, but we try to make them understand it as an educated investor. Plus the fact that you can get a lot of information now without actually going to Investopedia or even reading some of the great work that you guys do. So assume that there's a base level of information out there. And what I think clients are looking for, 18 to 80, as you all know, is that holistic planning. I assume that my advisor is doing the right thing with our investments. We have a plan and we have a set of rules that we obey, right? When we divert from the plan, there better be a darn good reason and we report it. But it's the holistic planning that's much more important to me. I want to make sure that they are aware of the things that I am not paying attention to. So showing them that you're doing that, besides, hey, look at your portfolio. You beat the index by 5%. Great. I expect you to at least track it, if not beat it. But what else is going on holistically with my financial life?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And I love how you said show, don't tell. I'm curious what you think of the advice I've given, or maybe how you tailor it. I've said that honestly, being able to show and tell is almost like the new resume. Because if I had a young person coming to me saying, "Hey, Colin, can I work at your practice?" And they show me the resume, it's like, this is great, but what would get me really excited is if I could go to your Twitter or X, or if I could go to your Facebook, or if I could go to your whatever platform or a blog. It doesn't even need to be your name, or it doesn't have to even show your face, a podcast, or whatever your preferred method is. And if you just simply shared what you're learning and gave your pivot on it, or just your kind of flavor on it, am I taking it too far to say that that could be the future
Absolutely
resume?
not. Absolutely not. And here's something that I find very effective. We actually are piloting a video series about this because I think it is the way that I would like to be communicated to as a client. And I'm 54, but imagine being 34 or 28, 44. When I am creating a series called How I Explain dot 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 to My Clients. Literally. So take anything that's happening right now, whether it's the Fed's independence or whether it's worries about the long bond or dollar devaluation or are we too tech heavy? Like how I'm talking to my clients about this. And as you know, all of you know this, you are going to come into this industry with a baseline of information. You're all trained. You're all getting you're passing your exams and getting your certifications. But the most important thing is the way we do this, right? The way we interact with each other. How do I feel when I am around you? Do I come away smarter? Do I come away feeling a little bit more secure? Do I come away feeling like we have a plan? He, she is with me on this. We see eye to eye because they've shown me how they communicate these complicated things to me in a way that makes sense, right? And not everybody is going to get it the same way. So how you talk to your clients, again, 18 to 80, 28 to 78 is super important. And 78-year-olds, I have 84-year-old parents, they need it in a completely different language than the way I talk to my 19 and 21-year-old kids.
I'm glad that you agree with me there, and that I'm not taking it too far, that it's potentially becoming the resume. Is there a platform? Because I mean, you're the king of media, and do you find that video is actually maybe going to get more eyeballs in this new, more modern age? Can you still have a newsletter? Is that ancient history? Where would you maybe recommend a young person to start creating their brand and creating their voice?
Well, I believe it's the flywheel, right? It's all the things, right? And maybe one thing is going to do better than others. Maybe one platform is getting more engagement than others, but everything should feed each other. And when I say that, it's not that you have to do a new thing for each thing, but you have to think about a topic and how am I going to explain this in my newsletter? I'm going to do a quick client blast, tonight because of all these threats to the Fed's independence and the potential firing of Jerome Powell. But I should also maybe do a quick little video on that, maybe just to amplify it for the folks that don't want to read it, or if I want to reach my audience that only finds me on TikTok. Um, and maybe, I'll appear on CNBC tomorrow and talk about it as well. All the things actually add up over time. So it's the cumulative effect. But again, it's not like you have to do the work for every single platform. You have to think about how can I use this for that? And you see some really smart advisors. You see them all over financial media. They'll go on television, they'll clip themselves, or they'll have somebody in their office clip them from that for that 45 seconds where they really nailed it on that point. That becomes the TikTok, or that becomes the Instagram feed, or the X video post, or even part of the YouTube channel. And then maybe they'll take the whole segment and they'll post that on maybe on the website to say, here's my recent appearance on blah, 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 talking about the thing. All the things add up over time. And especially as you're building your practice, you're not going to come out of the gate with 100,000 followers unless you're handsome with great hair like Colin. You're going to have to work at it. And you're going to have to do every little thing every single day. But all of that is part of the work, right? It's what you're doing anyway, besides marketing your practice, managing the emotions of people like me. You are actually creating your educational resume, if you will, and your blackboard for your clients too.
That's awesome. I totally agree. I mean, having maybe your number one go-to, but then being able to repurpose above and beyond that to kind of speak to your client where they're at in a format that makes sense to them. That's great. Uh, Curious what, just kind of piggybacking, talking maybe to a young person, like, where the heck do I start with this content stuff? There's so much out there, and maybe how do you even like segment between, and this is actually stealing a little bit of Cody's question from earlier. Do you talk more about what's going on in the markets today, or more of like the timeless behavioral finance? I'm sure this is subjective to everyone, and maybe the answer is D, all the above. But
Yeah.
how do you guys at Investopedia kind of clip between that? Because I was watching you live on LinkedIn the other day talking about Nvidia and some of the earnings and just how the stock is rocketing. Today's news, which is going to be old next week. People love that. It's good clicks, it's eyeballs, it gets attraction, and it's the topic of discussion. But that's probably not like timeless sound advice. How the heck do you find that balance? Maybe even for you personally.
NVIDIA is a great example of this because you could literally talk about it every day and get clicks because everyone's following it and it's got the cash tag and all of that. The fact that it's at all-time highs and the biggest stock in the market and all the things, that's news that everybody kind of has. Assume that people have that. But maybe the video starts with, or the blog post, or the quick podcast clip, or whatever medium you're creating with the problem with overconcentration, or why overconcentration is not a big deal, or why we shouldn't worry about it, right? We worry about having too much of one thing, too loaded into tech. We're all in the same trade. We're all in the same stock. That's why it's a $4 trillion stock. But that actually breaks it apart to like diversification is important. We talk about it all the time. But with a stock like this that represents 8% of the S&P 500 and 12% of the NASDAQ 100, why that matters. And if you're wondering if we own it, of course we own it. But even we own it directly for you, but sometimes we own it just because we own the indexes. And go back to the 1970s. We had the same situation with big oil. Go to the 80s. We had it with telecom. Go to the 90s. We had it with the internet stocks, right? Every era has its overconcentration so that, you can use that framework and assume that everybody knows that NVIDIA is at an all-time high and the biggest stock we've ever seen, but use it as a way to explain why this might not be a problem.
That's freaking brilliant, Caleb. That's why we have you here. You can take some of those. I don't even want to call it clickbaity, but just like center of attention topics and then spin it into how do we have sound financial advice? How do we create a diversified portfolio? Talk about concentrated positions and maybe how to handle that for the long run and even referring it back to your goals.
Absolutely. If our goals are we want growth during this in this part of our portfolio, we're going to go heavy on the heavies, right? That's kind of what we do. This is our plan. Remember, bring it back to the plan. And I think I feel better when I talk to my advisor. And my advisor's 32, probably 33 years old, works for a big firm, but he gets it. And he gets it. I have a level of sophistication because of what I do. My wife is a conservation biologist. She knows nothing of this world except the stuff that I'm, the pillow talk, so to speak. She asks the smartest questions, the right questions. And I will tell you, our advisor, after meeting with us, like he assumes I'm just going to, smack him around a little bit and be playful because I know what's up. She asks the questions that go right to the heart of the matter, makes him go back and do the homework on something no one has ever asked him before. And then he'll come back to us and he's learned something and he's helped her learn something. She's happier for it too. So that's important as well. It's like, you know what? I don't know, but I'm going to go find out. And I'm going to get smarter with you. And we're both going to take this intelligence and apply it to our strategies.
Caleb, I really appreciate you sharing that, being a financial expert that you are, writing the information that we use to help educate our clients and ourselves, that you still are using an advisor and have someone to be a sounding board. I'm curious because you know that you can buy low cost index funds and ride the wave. How much of your financial relationship, maybe in just kind of helping young advisors like understand this a little bit, is about the financial information that you didn't know versus maybe the just having someone to talk to, more of that psychological piece of the, so they call it the soft skills sometimes, even though it's maybe the most important skills
Yeah.
in financial planning nowadays. Maybe what's the split there?
Yeah. Well, I don't know what I don't know, which is why I have an advisor.
Yep.
And like I said earlier, I assume and I know what our strategy is in terms of asset allocation. I know what that is. And we have strict, hard rules in terms of what we do. And even when that after that big market dip in April, post so-called Liberation Day, um, things were triggered inside the markets that make us pivot strategies. And we were out before the hot mess, but we weren't back in at the very beginning of the recovery. And we're going to miss that top and the tail. And that's okay because we have rules. But what I need help with is the things that I don't know anything about. I want tax efficiency, not just in my portfolio, across my entire life. I'm complicated. I'm an employee, I'm a W-2 employee, I have a salary, but I also have a production company. I have an LLC for that production company. I make movies. And every one of those movies has an LLC. I have private investments that I need them to be thinking about as well. My taxes are a hot mess, and they're in order, but I couldn't do them myself. Here's another thing that my advisor in the practice introduced 3 or 4 years ago, and we helped them as a beta tester. College planning. Not, are you saving in the right place? Because I was, whatever. I did a 529 in New York for the tax reasons and also to keep discipline about it. But in terms of the college search, this is fascinating to me. They said that they developed a software that was basically what schools are your kids looking at? We're here in New York City. Kids look at the same schools in the Northeast. You know what they are, right? And we know how much they cost. And he's like, look, let's do that. Let's create a sort of an outer circle of the criteria that's important: proximity to home, liberal arts, offers merit scholarships, good study abroad, like all the things that are important to me and my daughter and our family. And then let's look at what other schools can provide that, maybe at a lower cost in places you aren't looking. And then once we've narrowed that down, let's look into those schools and see if we can actually pinpoint some merit scholarships because we weren't eligible for financial aid that might work. And I'll tell you something, it worked. Not only that, we did it with our second child as well. It helped take off $35,000 a year just by looking at schools we had not considered. And now that is not something that every practice has. And I think this is a very new thing for them. And I think they're starting to use it. And we beat it up a little bit to make sure that it works. That has nothing to do with asset allocation and has everything to do with us being able to pay a reasonable price for a college education. So we have room afterwards for grad school potentially, if we have to loan my daughter some money to put her up in an apartment, all the things. That was key, a very key thing that I wouldn't have imagined I could have gotten from a financial advisor.
That is awesome. Thank you for sharing that story. Young advisors, in our business, they call that earning your fee right there. I mean, saving you money on college expenses, who would have thunk? That's not part of, like you said, the asset allocation, but so important for holistic financial planning. Caleb, if we have you just for a few more minutes here,
Yeah, I'm seeing some
would
of these questions. These are good.
yeah, would love to open up. Cody, do you want to come off mute and ask your cue?
Sure, sure. So thinking about AI, I'm writing a book right now on tax planning, and I'm not using ChatGPT to write the book. I think that's a big no-no. But I think in terms of editing, like copy editors and stuff are maybe struggling, or maybe just it's kind of like just using AI enhances your abilities to write and edit. And I wonder how does kind of working in the business and on the business, how does Investopedia use AI and ChatGPT and those tools to enhance what you're already doing?
Great question. Two ways. We don't use it to write and we don't use it to edit. That's the power, that's the trust in the brand is based on the fact that there are so-called experts and
Right.
others, my whole team, that are looking at this stuff. Plus,
And
we have a
ChatGPT
financial,
references you, which is a good
yeah,
thing, right?
we have a deal with OpenAI, and now we have this protector that protects us from AI crawlers because they were just eating us up. Um, but you guys know this: authenticity matters, brand matters, and expertise matters. Still matters, and we believe that hopefully it still will. You guys will have long careers, and Investopedia will be in business another 26 years. But we use it for headline optimization. What headlines will this headline work better than that? A little A/B testing. What are people looking for when it comes to this? Now we have a lot of search inbound, so we look at what might be work better than others. Photographs, stock photos that we're going to use inside our documents or even on social. What might perform better than others? Here's another way to use it. There's, I don't know, 5,000 finance podcasts out there that come out every day or every week. I'm not going to go listen to all of them. I can barely keep up with my own. We can have ChatGPT or an AI client listen to all of them, scrape them all, and then give us here's the 15 things people are talking about today, right? Great use of AI. Here's another use of AI that I just used. I created a video series called Investopedia Explains, right? That's what we do. That's what I do. But I didn't want to just, and it's starring me. I didn't just want to go on camera and be like, um, compounding is blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm not going to read the definition you can read on our site. It's not useful. I wanted to explain things in a way that was in the spirit and in the persona of the educated investor. That's who we are. That's who I am. That's who we want our readers to be. So everything I did, I created 60 of these videos, and I took them from our most popular articles. I was explaining inverse ETFs. I was explaining, options versus futures. All the big topics that people look for, but not like the definition is. I was saying, this is why you might want to use it or why you might not want to use it. Here's how you might want to use it. So I had to write 60 scripts. I took the documents, our articles from the site. I took my podcast. I took a couple other videos that I did, and I plugged it all into an agent. And I said, kick me out an 80-second script that's in my voice that explains this the way that I have been explaining these other videos. Now, it did it, but it was a little too cute for cute's sake, right? Like, it was like at the end of the videos, it would be like happy investing, and I would never say that. It was a little too like it was too cheeky, and maybe that's really how I am, and I don't know it, but I knew it. So I went in and I re-edited those scripts that were really me and the point I wanted to make. Now, I didn't have AI write the script. I had to do a blast that was like, make sure I hit the important stuff, but it saved me 50% of my time. Scripts that were taking me an
Mm.
hour and a half took me 40 minutes. Sometimes it took me 20 minutes. That saved me time. Another good use of AI. One more thing. We have 40,000 documents on our site. We got millions of words on our site, right? We can have AI scrape all of them and create our own agent so that people have come to Investopedia traditionally for what is, or how do I, or what's the difference between this or that. All of that, and here's a really good example of this. 20,000 times a month, somebody comes in searching for, how do I invest $10,000? Well, the answer for me is different than it is for you, Colin, and different for you, Ethan, and different for you, Cody, and all your clients. So I have to know more about you in a non-creepy way. Could an AI agent get more information to actually get you the answer you need coming from our content? We think so. So we're trying to develop a way where we know that you're out there, we know that people are using it, but could we have our own agent that is actually giving you the answer you want, which gives you a better educational experience? And PS, just because we're a business, It's a better experience for our advertisers. So they want to be in the right place at the right time, because everybody that comes to us comes with an intent. How do I invest 10 grand? You're ready to invest, or you're already invested.
Awesome. Appreciate it. My just last little tag on that is you're saying AI allows you to be more human, right? I think that's the thing. A lot of people are using AI to like replace their creativity, which is actually like the wrong direction.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't work yet at all. And I think that people see right through that thing. Now, we all know what it's really good for. All right, give me the top performing stocks in 2022,
And
right?
M dashes, right?
Yeah, right. Or it's things of that nature, and that's fine. And it's the same. By the way, we're owned by Dotdash Meredith, a huge publisher. We have Food and Wine and all recipes and Simply Recipes and Very Well Health. A lot of reference sites, recipes, symptoms, treatments for health, and definitions. Those are all just being Pac-Man by AI. So while that's happening, you have to take the next step. Give people the level beyond the level. We want to tell them what is, why you need to care about it, and what you should do about it, if anything.
Cool. Appreciate you.
That's so good. And Caleb, I can just feel the brand just exploding out of you. Like I can see why
It's
Investopedia
scary.
is
Been here
just
too
crushing
long.
it. I love it. I love it so much. And it's cool that you're using ChatGPT, like you said, to, or just AI in general, language models, just to save on time, but you can just see right through the cheekiness and be like, no, we are not going to let this change our voice. And I think that's something that we should all take away from, your clients trust you and they want to hear from you. And being able to create content, maybe you're not creating or saying anything completely revolutionary, but it's coming from you. And that means a lot to your clients. And I'm sure that's probably something you would recommend a young advisor, any advisor, when making content. You probably don't have to feel insecure about saying something that someone else maybe has said before.
Yes, just do it. Start doing it. If you aren't doing it, start writing tomorrow. Make it part of your job from 8 to 8:30 in the morning. I'm going to write a little post. Maybe I put it out, maybe I don't. I'm going to do a little video here and just blast it out to my clients. Hey, just some thoughts on this in case you were wondering. Just do it as a practice. It's like the gym. The first 2, 3, you'll hate yourself. You'll hate the way you sound, the way you look, right? You'll hate everything about it. But then like a week later, you'll be like, you know what? I can't not do it anymore. I'm starting to see the results, right?
Yeah.
I feels good now. Now for me, like I'm on TV every day. If I miss a day on TV for some reason, or if I'm not doing a post or something, I feel weird, like I didn't go to the gym.
That's so good. You got to get the habits. And I've heard some people calling it like climbing cringe mountain, because your first couple of videos, your friends are going to be like, what are you doing? And then after you've done it for a month or two, they come to expect it. And then maybe enjoy it. And dare I say, share it. And then all of a sudden it starts to roll.
Yeah, Colin, I have the other problem. The first video I did for TikTok years ago, right in the middle of the pandemic, was the
Yeah.
best video I ever did. And I was just messing around. I had a hoodie on. I just finished working out. I sent it to my social editor, like, I'm thinking about doing this when I get, after my shower. She puts it up because she didn't like pay attention or decided not to. The thing killed, and I've been trying to get back up there ever since.
It's so funny that you say that because I never expected TikTok to be my number one platform. I just liked the editing software. So I would make 10 videos, edit them, and then maybe post my favorite one or two to LinkedIn or Facebook where I felt my clients might be. And then, of course, the video I thought was bad would blow up, kind of to your point. And then now I'm having this great dialogue about backdoor Roth conversions on what's supposed to be a cringy dance app for kids. Like, that's not supposed to happen. But meanwhile, here we are, a few years later and still not a massive following, but it's like just such a concentrated, nerdy following of people who love nerdy finance content. And I'm just not willing to do the cringy stuff like you said at the top of the call of
Yes.
here I have a silly hat on.
Yep.
That's
Let's
so
keep doing
good.
it.
Hey, Caleb, thank you so much for going a little over time here with us. We really, really appreciate you coming on here and sharing all this information. Anything that maybe you'd want to leave with a young advisor, something that maybe you wish you knew getting into this business so that you see maybe advisors making some mistakes along the way? What's something that a young advisor could maybe learn from you that they don't have to go make the mistake themselves?
Yeah, I mean, authenticity is important. And you guys are out there, you see who the top advisors are in terms of popularity, the Josh Browns of the world, even though he's not really an advisor anymore. But you see what they're doing. Like, maybe I should launch my own compound, or maybe I should, be funny like Doug Bonaparte, or maybe I'll follow Colin onto TikTok, and it's got to be you and it's got to be authentic. So I would start with that. And then, more and more, of you all are going independent and creating the practices that you want to have, the practice you wish you had. And I think that's super important too. I think independence is going to be important, but also what are you offering? And I gave you the anecdote about, the college planning, which is really important to us. That was a new thing. And what can you offer that's different and new that still falls into the ecosystem of smart financial planning that enhances your practice and become known for on the, Anna Maria is the advisor who's really good at dot, or Bailey's really good at, tax efficiency or whatever that is. Be really great at that thing.
That's a great place to leave it. Stay curious, stay authentic, and good things are going to happen. All right, Caleb Silver, you're the man. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you. All right.